Growth is not supposed to hurt the way we've been making it hurt. Somewhere along the way, we learn to treat our own transformation like a problem to be solved, a deadline to be met, a test we're failing if we're not already different, healed, whole. We carry this invisible pressure, this expectation that by now, whatever now means, we should have arrived. We should be calm. We should be confident. We should have released the old wounds, rewritten the stories, rewired the patterns. And when we find ourselves still tender, still learning, still stumbling over the same edges we thought we'd smoothed out months ago, we feel behind. We feel broken. We feel like we're doing something wrong. But what if the only thing we're doing wrong is the way we're holding ourselves through it? What if the harshness, the impatience, the inner voice that says, "Why aren't you over this yet?" is the very thing slowing everything down? The truth is this: you cannot bully yourself into healing. You cannot shame yourself into growth. You cannot force open a door that needs time to unlock from the inside. And every time you try, every time you demand that your heart move faster than it's ready to move, you add another layer of resistance, another wall for love to dissolve before it can reach the places that need it most. Gentleness is not weakness. It is not indulgence. It is not letting yourself off the hook or pretending the work doesn't matter. Gentleness is the only environment in which real, lasting transformation can happen. It is the soil. It is the light. It is the condition under which the seed knows it is safe enough to open. Take a breath right now. Let it be slow. Let your shoulders drop just a little, even if only for a moment. Notice how much effort you've been holding without even realizing it. Notice the tightness in your jaw, the tension across your chest, the way your body has been bracing against something. That bracing is not protecting you. It is exhausting you, and it is keeping you from feeling the very shifts that are already happening beneath the surface. When we rush our healing, when we grab at growth with clenched fists and gritted teeth, we send a message to every cell in our body that it is not safe to change. Because change requires openness. It requires softness. It requires the willingness to let old structures dissolve without knowing exactly what will replace them. And our nervous system, that ancient guardian of our survival, will not allow dissolution unless it feels held, unless it feels safe, unless it knows that even in the uncertainty, even in the unfamiliar, we are not going to abandon ourselves. This is why forcing doesn't work. This is why all the affirmations in the world won't shift a belief you're still punishing yourself for having. This is why you can know something intellectually and still feel it emotionally weighing you down. Because the body keeps its own score. The body remembers every time you pushed through when you needed to pause, every time you criticized yourself for feeling what you felt, every time you treated your own tenderness like a failure. And until you learn to meet yourself differently, the body will hold on, not out of stubbornness, but out of wisdom, because it knows that lasting change only happens when we feel safe enough to let go. So what does it mean to be gentle with the process of your growth? It means recognizing that you are not a project to be completed. You are a living, breathing, evolving being, and your transformation is not linear. Some days you will feel expansive and clear. Some days you will feel contracted and confused. Some days you will take 3 steps forward. Some days you will take 2 steps back and 1 to the side. And all of it is part of the process. Not evidence that you're failing, but evidence that you're alive, that you're engaged, that you're willing to keep showing up even when it's uncomfortable. There is no finish line where you suddenly become the version of yourself who never struggles, never doubts, never feels the old patterns trying to pull you back. That version doesn't exist. What does exist is a you who learns to hold all of it with more compassion. A you who can feel the old fear rise up and say, I see you, I know you're trying to protect me, but I'm safe now. A you who can notice the impulse to shut down or lash out or retreat, and choose something different without making yourself wrong for the impulse in the first place. Gentleness begins with noticing, not analyzing, not fixing, just noticing. When you feel yourself tightening, when you hear that critical voice, when you catch yourself thinking, I should be better at this by now, pause. Take one conscious breath, place your hand on your heart, feel the warmth of your own palm against your chest. This is not a metaphor. This is a real, physical gesture that signals to your nervous system, I am here. I am not abandoning you. You are not alone in this. The body responds to gentleness the way a frightened animal responds to a soft voice and an open hand, slowly, cautiously. But when it finally trusts that the gentleness is real, that it's not a trick or a temporary kindness before the criticism returns, something shifts, the muscles release, the breath deepens, the heart softens, and in that softening space opens up, space for new thoughts, new feelings, new ways of being that were impossible when everything was clenched tight. We have been taught to mistrust ease, to believe that if something feels good, if something feels gentle, it must not be working. We've internalized the idea that growth has to hurt, that healing has to be hard, that transformation requires suffering. And yes, growth can be uncomfortable. Yes, healing asks us to feel things we've been avoiding. Yes, transformation means letting go of old identities and stepping into the unknown. But the discomfort of growth is different from the suffering we create when we approach our own process with harshness. One is the natural stretching of becoming. The other is unnecessary pain layered on top, born from the belief that we need to be punished into being better. You don't. You never did. The part of you that believes you need to be harsh with yourself is the same part that learned long ago that love was conditional, that acceptance had to be earned, that you were only worthy when you performed, achieved, proved yourself. And that part is doing its best with what it knows. But it doesn't have the full picture, because the truth that changes everything when you really let it in, is that you are already worthy, right now, exactly as you are. In the middle of the mess, in the middle of the learning, in the middle of the process. Your worth is not something you achieve through growth. Your worth is the foundation from which growth happens. When you know, deeply know, that you are valuable simply because you exist, everything else becomes an exploration instead of a test, a question instead of a demand, an unfolding instead of a race. Let yourself rest in that for a moment, not as a concept to understand, but as a felt sense in your body. What would it feel like to believe, just for the next few breaths, that you don't have to earn your own kindness? That you don't have to wait until you're healed or whole or perfect to treat yourself with tenderness? What would it feel like to offer yourself the same patience you would offer a child learning to walk, where every stumble is expected, every fall is part of the process, and the only response is to reach out your hand and say, "It's okay, try again, I'm here." This is the practice. Not once, but over and over. Every time the old patterns resurface, every time you catch yourself in judgment, every time you feel the familiar ache of not enough, this is when gentleness matters most. Not when everything is easy, but when everything feels hard. Not when you're proud of yourself, but when you're disappointed. Not when you're expanding, but when you're contracting. Because those are the moments that shape your relationship with yourself. Those are the moments that teach your system whether it's safe to keep evolving or whether it needs to protect itself by staying small. And here's what happens when you practice gentleness consistently, when you make it your default response instead of your last resort. You stop seeing your struggles as evidence of failure. You start seeing them as information, as invitations, as the places where the old programming is still running, waiting for you to bring a new response. The shame loses its grip, the urgency loses its edge, and you begin to trust that you are unfolding exactly as you need to unfold in a timeline that belongs to you and no one else. Growth happens in layers, not leaps. We want the breakthrough. We want the moment of sudden clarity where everything clicks into place and we're finally, permanently different. And sometimes those moments do come, but they come because of the 1,000 tiny shifts that happened before. The small choice to speak kindly to yourself when you wanted to spiral into criticism, the moment you paused instead of reacted, the day you noticed the old story playing and chose not to believe it, even if just for an hour. These are the unglamorous, unnoticed moments of transformation. These are what actually change us. But we don't celebrate them because they don't look like what we think change is supposed to look like. They're quiet, they're subtle, they happen. And in the space between breaths, in the softening of a thought, in the loosening of a long-held belief. And because they don't announce themselves, because they don't feel dramatic, we overlook them. We keep waiting for the big shift, and in the waiting, we miss the evidence that the shift is already happening. So let's practice noticing. Right now, think back over the last 6 months, not to judge what you haven't accomplished, but to honor what has shifted. How are you speaking to yourself differently, even in small ways? What triggers used to send you spinning that now only make you pause? What relationships have you renegotiated? What boundaries have you set? What old coping mechanisms have you begun to recognize and choose differently? These are not small things. These are seismic shifts disguised as ordinary moments. These are proof that you are not stuck, not broken, not failing. You are growing, and the gentleness you've been practicing, even imperfectly, even inconsistently, is what made that growth possible. When we approach ourselves with harshness, we create an internal environment of fear, and fear does not inspire growth. Fear inspires protection. It makes us smaller, more defended, more rigid. It activates the parts of our brain that are designed for survival, not expansion. And from that place, we cannot access our creativity, our intuition, our capacity for change. We can only react, defend, and brace for impact. But gentleness creates safety, and safety is the foundation for everything else. When we feel safe, the nervous system relaxes, the breath deepens, the heart opens, the mind becomes more flexible. We can see options we couldn't see before. We can feel feelings we've been avoiding. We can take risks we've been too afraid to take. Not because we've forced ourselves to be brave, but because we've created the conditions in which bravery becomes possible. This is not about pretending everything is fine when it's not. This is not about bypassing difficult emotions or avoiding necessary grief. Gentleness doesn't mean we never feel pain. It means we stop adding pain on top of pain. It means we feel what we feel without making ourselves wrong for feeling it. It means we honor our limits without calling them weakness. It means we move through hard things knowing that the hardness of the thing is enough. We don't need to make it harder by attacking ourselves for being in it. Place your hand on your heart again. Feel your own heartbeat. That steady rhythm has been there your whole life, even when everything else felt chaotic, even when you were lost, even when you were hurting. Your heart kept beating, your lungs kept breathing, your body kept trying, kept adapting, kept doing its best to carry you through. Can you meet that with gratitude instead of criticism? Can you thank your body for its endurance instead of resenting it for not being different? Can you honor the fact that you are here, still trying, still growing, still willing to do this hard work of becoming? There is a voice inside you, maybe quiet, maybe buried under years of conditioning, that has always known you were doing your best, that has never doubted your worth, that has watched you stumble and fall and get back up over and over, and has felt nothing but love. That voice is not gone. It's not broken. It's just been drowned out by all the louder voices that learn to criticize and compare and demand. But it's still there. And every time you choose gentleness, every time you pause and breathe and offer yourself compassion, you turn up the volume on that voice. You make it easier to hear. You make it stronger. This is the work, not fixing yourself, but remembering yourself, not becoming someone new, but peeling away the layers of harshness and fear and shame that have covered over the wholeness that was always there. You are not broken. You never were. You were just taught to see yourself through broken lenses, and now, breath by breath, choice by choice, gentle moment by gentle moment, you are learning to see clearly again. Trust your own timing. Trust that you are exactly where you need to be, learning exactly what you need to learn. Trust that the universe is not punishing you with this process, but supporting you through it. Trust that the slowness is not a sign of failure, but a sign of depth. The deeper the roots need to go, the longer they take to establish, and you are building something that will last, not a quick fix that collapses under pressure, but a foundation of self-love that can hold you through anything. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to prove that you're worthy of gentleness by first achieving some arbitrary standard of healing. You are worthy of gentleness right now, in the confusion, in the doubt, in the middle of the mess. Because gentleness is not a reward for getting better. Gentleness is how you get better. When you lie down tonight, before sleep comes, place both hands on your belly. Feel it rise and fall with your breath. Say to yourself, quietly or out loud, I am gentle with the process of my growth. I am patient with my own unfolding. I trust that I am moving forward even when I cannot see the progress. I honor where I am. I release the need to rush. I am safe in this moment, and this moment is enough. Let those words settle into your body. Let them soften the places that have been holding tension. Let them remind you that you are not behind, you are not broken, you are not doing it wrong. You are a garden, and gardens cannot be rushed. You can water the soil, you can pull the weeds, you can turn your face toward the light, but you cannot force the seed to open on your timeline. You cannot demand that the roots grow faster, that the stem push through sooner, that the bloom arrive before its season. All you can do is tend. All you can do is show up. All you can do is create the conditions for growth and then trust the intelligence of life to do what it does best: unfold. And it will. You will. Not because you forced it, but because you allowed it. Not because you were harsh, but because you were kind. Not in spite of the gentleness, but because of it. This is the paradox we've been missing. This is the truth that changes everything. The softer you are with yourself, the deeper you can go. The more compassion you offer, the more transformation becomes possible. The slower you move, the farther you actually travel. So take your time. Take all the time you need. There is no deadline for becoming yourself. There is no competition for healing. There is no gold star for arriving first at some imagined destination of wholeness. There is only this moment and the choice you make in it, the choice to meet yourself with love or with criticism, with patience or with pressure, with gentleness or with force. Choose gentleness. Choose it again and again. Choose it when it feels natural, and choose it when it feels impossible. Choose it for yourself, the way you would choose it for someone you love deeply, someone whose heart you would never intentionally hurt, because you are that someone. You are the one you've been waiting to love you this way. You are the one who gets to change the story, soften the voice, create the safety. You are the one who can decide right now that growth does not have to be a war, that healing does not have to be a punishment, that becoming won't. Who you're meant to be can be an act of kindness instead of an act of force. You are doing better than you think. You are growing more than you realize. You are further along than you give yourself credit for. And the very fact that you're here, reading these words, thinking these thoughts, asking these questions, that itself is proof of your commitment to your own evolution. Not everyone does this work. Not everyone is willing to look this honestly, to feel this deeply, to try this hard, but you are. And that matters, that counts, that is worth honoring. So breathe, soften, release. Let yourself be exactly where you are. Let yourself grow at exactly the pace you're growing. Let yourself be held by the simple, profound truth that you are enough right now, in this moment, exactly as you are, not because you've arrived, but because you were never meant to arrive. You were meant to unfold endlessly, beautifully, imperfectly, gently. And you are. You are unfolding. You are becoming. You are growing, one gentle moment at a time and at